What's up, team? Welcome to another episode of Two Friends Talking Shit About FPL. And once again, I'm Andy.
And I'm Sam. Hello, welcome.
What a game week. Woo! What a game week. Where do we start, Sam? Where do we start?
Oh, well, do you want to do scores? Do you want to do teams? Where do you want to go?
Oh, honestly, I'm just really excited about Arsenal at the moment. So as long as we get to talk about Arsenal in some way, shape, or form, I
All
don't
right.
mind.
Well, let's just recap some games then, shall we? Let's run us through, see where we were. No. So using the live FPL again this week, we can see. So we'll start off with that small little game there on the left side of the screen, if you can see that one there. A couple of teams I don't think anyone's heard of, really. Man City and Arsenal. It's the final game of the game week, I think. How do you feel, Andy? How did it go for you?
Look, I did take the -8, and we'll cover the scores in a moment. I'm still happy. I'm happy with my total score, and I was really nervous going to the Man City versus Arsenal game, mainly because I had Haaland, and Raya, but also being an Arsenal fan, I wanted Arsenal to win, but I also wanted still to score decently. And what can I say? It actually turned out all right, except for the very late equaliser. Mate, that game, look, I'll be honest, I didn't watch it, but this is the game where I've watched a lot of highlights. I never watch highlights. I've watched breakdowns of the game from people who watched it. I've watched like statistical analysis and like strategy. I've nerded out on that stuff. And people are saying, is Man City and Arsenal like a new rivalry's building? You know, Haaland's patting Arteta on the back, saying "Stay humble." A bit of beef between Gabriel Jesus and Haaland. Oh man, Arsenal leading 2-1 and then going down to 10 men away at Etihad Stadium, but then playing a 5-4-0 formation. That is crazy. Oh, what a game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, really. It's a little disappointing from a neutral perspective because it's not really the game that we had. As soon as Trossard gets sent off for kicking the ball away, again, how many Arsenal red cards are we going to have? You guys need to learn not kicking ball away. It's bad for you.
But here's the thing. I genuinely don't think he meant to kick the ball away. So they timed it. Apparently it was 0.84 seconds between the whistle and him kicking the ball. I think he was just in the zone playing. I legitimately don't think he meant to kick the ball away.
So from looking at the footage, he hoofs it into the top deck. So he definitely meant to kick it. So, I mean, it's a tough one, but the line's been drawn now, I think. It'll just be interesting to see whether the same thing gets pulled across all teams or whether it's just going to be because if it only happens to Arsenal this season, you're going to have some people going, well, that was done on purpose. But it just needs to make sure it's consistent across all games and you're getting bookings across. It's just another cheap first yellow card, silly second yellow card, kind of. It doesn't ruin the game, but it changes the mindset completely. But
getting one person sent off, I think, ruined a good competition, though. And
yeah,
like especially on a game like Man City versus Arsenal, that's a big game, and people watching the game want to see it. I mean, they did end up seeing a pretty good game, but it could have been more goals than that across the board.
And I mean, but I get that. But also, you can't pick and choose when you want the rules applied. Like, you can't say, oh, it's fine because he got sent off against Bournemouth. You have to have the rules across the whole game. We can't say, oh, we won't send him off because it's a big game. Because then what if someone two-footed someone? Oh, well, it's a big game. We'll just let it go. So it's hard picking and choosing where you want him. But, yeah, I agree that in certain circumstances, quiet words and cooling down, I think is right, and it was right close to half time as well. So
yeah, you nailed it with consistency. And look, apparently this was the case last year in the Arsenal versus Man City game. I can't remember who the player was, but it was the same ref made a few calls where he's like, "Oh, basically instead of giving a card, he didn't do it for the purposes of keeping the game going, right, and not ruining, like not impacting the game at that level." So I think consistency is definitely the key word there. I think if it's applied across the board, then I don't think anyone would be saying anything.
And this one was tricky as well because you're going to have another set of people who say he was leveling the playing field again after the initial mistake. So if you've not seen the goals, the everything kind of was bubbling away. City were 1-0 up, and then the ref brings both captains towards him. So he pulls Saka across and he pulls Walker out of position all the way over. But then lets play resume before allowing Walker to get back into his position. And that's where Martinelli wins the ball and plays the ball across for Calafiore to score from. So Walker's argument was, I was pulled out of position by the ref and not allowed time to get back. So that should have been ruled off for VAR because I wasn't in the right position. Like, you can't have VAR rule it off because he was back in play. But yeah, the ref probably should have let him get back into his position because then that attack unfolds differently. So there's a school of thought that the red card was another, well, we got to do it by the book, otherwise this is going to get pulled up. But I kind of think, yeah, look, the spotlight is on, and it will be on Arsenal now about kicking the ball away. But then to take the lead and to hold that lead and to low block City out of the game until like pretty much the last kick. The other interesting thing that I think, if it was anyone else and a different team, we may have seen some repercussions, was after City scored their equaliser, Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel's head.
Mate.
Like, it's top class shithousery. But if that is Luis Suarez, if that is Diego Costa, that's a yellow card or a red card, and it's changes again. But or an after game disciplinary stuff. But that return fixture at the Emirates is going to be spicy.
Oh, I can't wait. And Gabriel tweeted afterwards. He said, in a competition, or I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing here, but in a competition or, in a war or whatever it is, these things are going to happen. But then, like, you leave it there, but next time it's at our home at Emirates or whatever. So you at the Emirates. Oh, I can't wait. I think I will actually watch that game. I will actually watch it.
Yeah, that'll be good. But other than that, the game kind of, like you said, it wasn't a game we wanted to see after halftime because it was very much a City putting it in, and then as the game progressed, City are shooting from wherever they can. They had a ridiculous amount of shots with them from outside the box, and then eventually they get the goal, and it's 2-2. But Gabriel again with another header from a set piece.
So good.
Saka with another assist continues his run of him and Haaland being the only person to return an attacking return in every game so far. And Haaland again with the 3 bonus points. I'm not really sure why he comes out with 3 bonus points. I think there's probably, you think with all the attacking pressure they had, like someone like Gabriel probably should have come out with some, but he comes out with none. But yeah, I suppose conceding 2 goals takes some of it away. But
yeah, I think so. But I think there's a few injury concerns coming off the back of the Man City versus Arsenal game. So number one, I don't think many people have Rodri in their team, but Rodri's a huge impact for City.
He's a big one for going forward because Rodri is their anchor. Everything goes off Rodri. So how do they replace him now? Do they try and use Rico Lewis? Do they Kovacic maybe playing Foden ahead of him, dropping back into that role? Be interesting to see what they come out with. But yeah, it's a big concern for City, and hopefully it can drop a bit of their consistency down and it can make it a bit more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Liverpool, mate. Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
This guy just keeps scoring.
He's there again, isn't he?
A bit disappointing about Salah's 1 assist. I really thought, and on another day, he probably was the one scoring the brace, right?
And Salah's assist was a ball played to Darwin at the start of a run. So it was a good 20, 25 seconds before the actual goal. So it was one of those, it was a little infield ball, and then Darwin runs up to the edge of the box, cuts inside, and shoots from a stupid angle and scores a goal that only Darwin Núñez could score. And then next week he'll miss a sitter. But yeah, Salah to me, like, he's still producing, but he looks a bit off the game. He looks a bit slow. He looks a little, his touch is a little gone. I'm hoping it's just, we're just picking things out because Diaz is playing so well on the other side. But are you paying 5 million more for Salah at the moment with Diaz there, or is Diaz is he a trap waiting to happen?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is Diaz nailed? But with his form, you'd think that he would be, right?
Yeah, I think you'd be silly to take him out at this point. I think the rotation we're going to see is going to be that the Darwin, Gakpo and Jota up at the top spot. I can see maybe Diaz getting pulled at 59, 60 minutes if they're winning. Like, see this game again, maybe you'd come off. And he did come off relatively early, so let him do his thing and then bring him off. And even if he gets rotated, you're going to see him get 30 minutes at least anyway. So not super concerned. Interesting that Darwin scored though, and then Liverpool and Arsenal both played Carabao Cup games this week. Arsenal won 5-1 and Liverpool beat West Ham as well, 5-1. So, and Gakpo scored 2, Jota scored 2. So interesting what comes of that. But they both played significant minutes. I think Jota and Salah both scored off the bench. So who knows who will start this week?
Mate, I think Diaz would start because he didn't really play in the Carabao Cup, did he? He didn't start. He was on the bench.
Yeah, I would expect to see Diaz and Salah again, and I think Darwin probably gets to start again because he's going to need to get consistency. He's going to need to get games. So I think if he scored, he played well. Keep him going. Keep him rolling.
Agreed. All right, who do we have next? Fulham versus Newcastle. What's your take on Newcastle at the moment?
My take on these two teams together is, I don't know. I use the term Spursy far too much, but these two are both very that. They show up one day, don't show up the next day. Newcastle look like they've played 30 games already this season. They look tired, they look slow. Gordon's not involved. He's not hitting. He's not producing returns. Barnes is doing well. He's pretty consistent. Isak has dropped off, another 45. And then Fulham, after getting, I don't know if they got spanked last week, but they've had some losses and some close games, and they come out with a convincing win against one of the so-called harder teams.
And Smith Rowe came home with the goods
again.
Yeah. Hey, this season we have a lot of $5 to $5.5 million players returning, or good value. I think this season it's potentially you're able to go a cheap midfield with one premium, right?
Yeah,
and like one mid price, and the rest of them cheapies, and like buff up your strikers and buff up your defenders. It's very possible, but we'll see when we come to doing the teams.
Yeah, but the other good thing about them is they all seem to be going up in price at a similar rate, so you can move between them. Like if you get your 0.2, you can then move, and you're not that far behind. Like I think Semenyo is due to go up today, but then ESR is due to go up tomorrow. So like that's it's pretty good. Like they're moving up together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we go to Brighton Forest, we've got another goal from Wood. Can I just say who's on the score sheet for Brighton? Who was I talking about last week?
Yeah.
Very well, mate.
Yeah.
Did I pick him? No.
Mate, you are the bandwagon whisperer. I'm just gonna whoever you say to bring that potentially could be doing well. I'm just gonna bring them in the future.
I mean, I just didn't expect Pedro to start, and there was goals in the game. I know Forest have been good defensively, but I don't think that anyone else was ready to step into that role yet for Brian. So I thought Welbeck would get the start. Ferguson's not quite back to fitness, and yeah, he came in and he picked up a goal. Matoma again with an assist. So interesting to look at Brighton, but I think they're going into a bit of a harder run. So it's probably steer clear for now and just see how they shape up, and if they keep a bit more consistent and they're doing well, maybe we can move on them. But yeah, otherwise with them, Forest again, decent run out for them. They seem to do fairly well. It's a fairly close game from the highlights I saw. So not a lot to pick between them, and I think we would have expected Brian to have win that one. So Forest are surprising this year. They're doing well. I'm impressed.
Wood has been consistent.
Wood has been consistent. How long it will go for, and is it a purple patch or what we're going to get is only time will tell. But yeah, he looks good.
Or Aston Villa, mate. Our mate Rogers, coming home with the goods, mate. After underperforming his stats for the first 4 game weeks, the lad comes home.
He did well, didn't he? He's been buzzing around though. He was always going to get him. He's had the 90 minutes every game. It was only a matter of time. And then he got Duran on the score sheet again. So,
Mate. How long can Duran keep this up?
I don't know. It depends. I don't really know a lot about Duran, but if he can keep coming and scoring off the bench, there's some. Everyone's gonna have to make some decisions. Does he try them both on the pitch at the same time? Does he keep one off? Because remember they've got Champions League coming up. They're still in the Carabao Cup. They'll have FA Cup games. So maybe it's just keep playing one or the other, and if Duran can keep coming in and banging in a goal when he comes on, then you can start him in a game and Watkins can come on and you can share that time. So I was a bit surprised that Watkins definitely started. Like I thought this would have been a game that maybe they would have started Duran in and brought Watkins on later, knowing that they've got fixtures coming up. But yeah, another 3-1 win. It's annoying that they're not keeping the clean sheets. But Conser scored as well from the centre-back. So yeah, interesting game. It's a bit early to tell with Villa, but it'd be good to see if they can keep this roll going. And now they've got some good fixtures, see what they can put together.
Yeah, I think Rogers for me is a hold.
I
think I'll be holding him for a while.
Yeah, I think you're gonna keep building your money in him unless you'd only be moving him if you were moving him to like a 4-5 to enable someone else. But even then, I think you can probably find 0.5 somewhere else to keep hold of Rogers.
Easy. Yeah, you'd keep Rogers.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm done with Eze. This guy, and please tell me you're done with Bruno Fernandes. Crystal Palace, Man United, I did not expect a 0-0 draw. I did not expect that.
So I had this either as a draw or a Palace win. Crystal Palace is just one of those teams for Man United. They seem to cause them an issue every time. But this time, it was neither team has got going. It was not a great game. It's struggled to set line. Everyone struggled in it. And you can tell it's a game like that when you've got Henderson on 2 bonus, Dallo on 3, and Onana on 2. Like, you got no strikers in there at all. I think the less said about it, better. I think that's a result for Palace. I think United probably wanted to come after a win last week. They probably wanted to come in and put some more points on the board, but yeah, they're just not doing enough. Maybe we can revisit when Højlund comes back and they actually have an outlet. But the Xerxes just doesn't seem to be polished enough. Fernandes isn't a striker; he shouldn't be up there. So it's hard. these both feel like very transitional teams. Palace have lost a lot of players, not quite pulling it all together. Mateta's had a huge off season. He's probably going to be tired. Yeah, maybe more to see in the future, but yeah, steer clear of both these, I'd say.
What about Spurs and Brentford? Like Maddison, he was doing well at the beginning of last season. A lot of people owned him. Then he got injured and he just never bounced back. But we're seeing him get on the score sheet a few times now.
Yeah, Maddison has an XGI, it's an expected goal involvement of 2 for that game. So that, and he came out with 2 goal involvements. So it's quite high, and he's got it's something like the highest XGI outside of Haaland for the season so far. So he's not a bad pick. It's just whether he can keep it going, because if you're like me, you buy him and he stops. And it depends on Spurs. They need to keep the momentum going. If they can, if I see them win another couple of games, I'm looking at Spurs assets and I'm thinking, yeah, if they can, now they've got Solanke back, Maddison's back to full fitness. He didn't play anywhere in the summer. They can get some momentum going. I think they're good assets. They're cheap for what they are. And yeah, they could return quite well.
I really like Solanke still, and I think I will be bringing him in. If not this week, it'll be next week. And I know we might want to see a bit more from them, but man, Spurs, the way Spurs play football is just attacking, right? It's just, he's got one mode, he's got one speed, and it's just, let's attack, yeah. And Solanke's a striker, like a traditional striker, right? So surely with the likes of Maddison and Son behind him, he's going to get fed.
Yeah, and he's their striker. They don't really have another option. Like Richarlison clearly doesn't work in that system. So, they don't really have anywhere else to go unless they play Son up top, which he clearly doesn't want to do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought Solanke in. So, I'm watching him. But Brentford again, another goal in the first, I think it was 22 seconds again, second week in a row, and quite a goal from Mbeumo as well. I mean, if they're going to get beat 3-1, I want Mbeumo to score, and he still comes out with my points. So,
yeah, that's the main thing. We're FPL managers, so doesn't matter if it's 10-1, as long as that one is one of the players that we have. Great.
Yep.
Oh, this next one. Mate, you talked about Jackson a while ago. Maybe I just still have carrying a bit of just bias from last season where he was just a potato, but he's crushing it this season. Is he worth getting in? Chelsea's fixtures, are they actually that good enough?
Well, Jackson's finishes for this game were good. They were good. They weren't tap-ins. They were good goals that needed finishing, and he did well, and he got an assist as well. So he was involved with all 3 of their goals. Do they have too much rotation? Are we going to see him rotated out? Because I think Chelsea played... Did they play Carabao Cup this week or last week? And Nkunku got a hat-trick. So,
That's the thing. And Nkunku is the one who would replace Jackson. So that's a dangerous situation to pay that much for someone who's going to get rotated out. And we all remember, imagine if Nkunku is then the starting striker and his class as a midfielder, everyone's going to bring him in.
And that's why everyone had him at the start of the season. I don't think there's much threat at the moment, because I don't think you were, again, like we talked about with Diaz, I don't think you take Jackson out while he's on this bit of form. He's a young player. He's going to need that momentum, and I think he stays in the team. This one, again, is another, like Chelsea's last big win, were Chelsea that good or West Ham just that bad? Like, they didn't play well. They didn't play well against Liverpool. And they probably could have scored a couple more against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, but once Liverpool were 3-1 up, they were away and concentrating on the game. So hard for me to pick, but I think it's a bit of both. I think Chelsea they're getting a bit of belief, they're getting a bit of momentum. West Ham look slow. There's a lot of trouble there.
Mate, what's with these teams that have been around for a while, and traditionally I have memories of these teams always being just decent, and even you would say defensively solid, but this season, Everton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, even Wolves. I've got memories of these teams all being like, sure, they weren't top flight teams, but other than Newcastle, but they were solid mid-table teams.
Yeah.
But they're just not. Something's missing. Something's happening to them.
So I think Wolves we can discount for now. They've had a tricky start. They haven't. It's not been an easy initial start for them. Once you see them start to play the teams who will finish around them, I think we'll see some more stuff from Wolves. West Ham are in a bit of a weird spot with new manager. They had Moyes for a long time, who's a defensive manager. He's left because a lot of the fans wanted a bit more of an attacking West Ham. Maybe that instability has now caused some issues in the defence. Don't know. Everton's a weird one. They've got a couple of injuries, but they're still a Sean Dyche team like they were last year, and they still have much of the same personnel. But I think Mikalenko's had a bit of an injury there, as has Branthwaite. Maybe there's a bit of disruption. They don't know how to play together. Palace have lost so many of their defensive players. If they lost Anderson, they lost Elise from in front of them. I think if they'd have lost Gahey in the summer, they'd be in bits. So
absolutely,
yeah, I think it's again, it's still early to tell. Like, get to 10 games and kind of see where it's all shaking out. But yeah, I'm not super confident for a few of those teams. So then Leicester, Everton. I think it's a battle for the drop, really, isn't it? This one, weird game again, 1-1. Not a lot to say. I thought maybe Calvert-Lewin might be a bit more involved. Everton seem to score a few and then don't score for a couple of games. Like their young lad did score, which is good for them. But I'm not sure if we're picking players from these two. Everton do have a good run coming up, but whether they can turn that into anything, it's another story. It's like maybe you bring one of them in if you don't have a better option or you need someone in that price point. But yeah, for me, no. Anything you want to say about that one, or happy to move on?
I don't think I've got much to say. I have brought in an Everton player. Ooh. It was a toss-up between McNeil or Semenyo. Just because of the fixtures alone, I was like, I'll go with McNeil. Let's just see how it goes, right?
Yeah. And then we get to this, probably another battle at the bottom, Southampton and Ipswich. Dibbling, he's if he can keep scoring, he's there for a cheap midfield option if we want it. But I think, as you said before, there's other more expensive but still cheap midfield options with a premium. I think unless you're wanting 3 premium strikers, I don't think Dibbling comes into the team. But
all right,
that's the game week. I think it was it's a bit more straightforward this week than last week. Last week was a bit all over the place. I think we were kind of caught out with a few of the results. I think we could have expected a 2-2 City Arsenal even without a red card. So I don't think we've got too much confusion in this week's scores.
No. Let's run through our Premier League team scores then. Shall I share first?
Go for it.
All right. So we've got... All right. You can see that there. So I got a total of 73 points, but -8. I did 3 transfers. Classic Andy move. Mm-hmm. We have Raya with 4 points, but he's now actually flagged, which is a bit scary. But he's got 4 points. Alexander-Arnold finally coming home with the goods, 11 points. I was actually quite close to captaining him, and I pulled out last minute, and I was like, God damn it. But anyway, Greaves with 2 points. Aina, he just needed 1. I just needed him to get 1 point. Just give me 1 point. But he didn't.
Because he's the only one. He's the defender who didn't get pulled. Moreno and one of the others got pulled at half time. So,
yeah.
Did he get booked? Is that why he's got 1?
Conceded goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Rogers, apparently there was a last minute change in bonus points between Smith Rowe and Rogers. So it was like Rogers on 8, Smith Rowe on 10, and then when all the games finished, it switched around. By the way, I had both, so awesome. these guys are making me a fair bit of cash as well. Rogers being worth 5.2 and Smith Rowe 5.8. So he's gone up 0.3. And I can see people bringing them in this game week and future game weeks. Salah captain, it was disappointing, to be honest. I kind of want to keep Salah, but my hand is forced. And I'll explain why when we run through our teams. And Burmo, happy to keep him. And he's gone up by 0.2 again. Eze, he's out, man. Look, I'm sure his stats are amazing, but I don't know. Look, he'll probably crush it at Everton. Maybe he'll score it. I don't know if he'll score at Liverpool, but my patience is gone with it. Eze. Watkins did the goods. Haaland did not expect 9 points from him, but there we go. I don't have another playing keeper, so 0. Yao Pedro, I was almost going to start him over Smith Rowe. I'm glad I didn't. Lewis with 0, didn't play. I still think Lewis is a good option. I've had to take him out, but with Rodri injured, I could see myself bringing him in the future. And then Vandenberg with 1 point, but he played the 90, which is promising. I'd probably want to see another fixture or two from him.
Yeah.
So overall, game week, red arrow, but I think I only must have moved down very minimally because I was still on 900,000 last game week too. So I don't know how much I actually moved up or down. And squad value, we've got 98.8. So what's that? 101.8 total. So that is me.
Nice. All right, let's get mine. I'll figure out which one it is. Too many tabs open. Here we go. So, 66 points. One up. Henderson, 9 points. Didn't expect it, but we'll take it.
Solid.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the 9 points. See you later. Trent, 11 points. Always had faith in the man. Pedro Porro with 2. Conte with 9, which was a nice little bonus when I saw that goal go in. Fernandez with 3, just gets the 1 for the clean sheet. Salah on 12 as captain. Eze with 3, clean sheet again. And Bumo 8. Very annoyed when I saw João Pedro come on because I thought I might get a Gvardiol off the bench. But anyway, with 1. Watkins with 6. And my punt for the week was Calvert-Lewin, and he only got 2. Flecken 3, Diego Jota 0, Gvardiol and Barco. I had started Jota, but I got Pedro in instead once he didn't get any minutes, which was a bit surprising. So for me, that's a green arrow, I think it was. Yep, green arrow up to 4.9 million. So that's, fun. We're
still early season.
That's it. And squad value of 100.4 with 0.3 in the bank, so 100.7 altogether. So, yeah, not too bad. 66 gave me the head-to-head win this week, which was
by 1 point. I just needed Aina to score 1. 1 point. Come on, man. That was annoying. But yeah, you won last week, and I think you'll win this week as well in our head-to-head because you've activated your wildcard and I'm neg 8, potentially neg 12. You're on wildcard, so I think your team has more to discuss. So what I'll do is I'll run through my team and then let's spend more time on yours because, you've got a lot more flexibility than I do. Although I act like I've got a wildcard every week.
Yeah. And that's the difference this week is I can wait until late for the rare injury news and stuff like that before making any decisions.
Yeah. So I've made 3 transfers already. I'm on neg 8.
Yeah.
Classic. And I'm nervous about the goalkeeper because if Raya doesn't play, I don't have another keeper, which to be honest, if we had a $4 million keeper, I don't think they would have played anyway. So I'm going to leave Raya. Even if it turns out he's out, I'm not going to spend -4 on him. Yeah. I've got 0.1 in the bank with him, so I'm happy to let him drop by 0.1 as well. TAA I've kept. I've shipped Lewis for Gabriel. He's gone up by 0.1, and also I wanted access to Arsenal's defence, which was an interesting point. If Ray is out, how long is he out for? And does Arsenal's defence all of a sudden not look that good? Because Raya has been getting lots of saves.
Yeah.
So if it's a worse keeper in that position, they're probably conceding a heck of a lot more as well. We've also got Aina. He's chilling out against Fulham. I might play Vandenberg against West Ham. I don't know. Rogers, I'm playing Saka. So I went Salah to Saka because Saka is on like a 99% rise.
Yep.
And Salah is on like a 95% fall. I didn't want to make this move. I was actually happy to hold Salah, but Salah, I've banked 0.2, meaning if I sell him, he goes, I keep 0.1. If he drops back down by 0.1, I lose that 0.1. So that's why I was forced to make the move, and Saka's about to go up.
Yeah.
So, my moves are very cash driven.
Yeah.
Burmo, keeping McNeil. That was my first transfer. I did Eze to McNeil to fund Lewis to Gabriel. In retrospect, I probably could have done Salah to Saka, then Lewis to Gabriel because I've got heaps of money in the bank. But the thing is, there was a chance that Salah wasn't going to fall fully and Saka wasn't going to rise completely. So that's why I made this transfer very early on in the game week, and this only happened today because my hand was forced. So 2020 vision, like hindsight, amazing, but I didn't have that information. And Smith Rowe I'm keeping. So my midfield is very like 3 cheap players and then 1 mid-price, 1 premium. Up front, I've got Watkins I'm keeping and Haaland I'm keeping. And on the bench is Solicic, João Pedro, Greaves and Vandenberg. So I'm on neg 8. The thing which would force me to a neg 12 is if João Pedro falls again, because he's now at the price I bought him at.
Yeah.
So if he's about to fall again, I'll just move him on. Or if Solanke looks to be rising, because Solanke is the person I want in place for João Pedro.
Yeah.
And I can... Oh, why is he red? Whoa, did that just happen just then? That literally just happened.
What does it say?
Ankle injury, expected back 6th of October.
Oh, well, he's going to
So
fall
he's
then.
out. His fault. So I will most likely be neg 12 if I'll keep an eye on his price, but I'm going to go João Pedro out, and I've got 8.6 in the bank, so I can afford any striker up front. So it could be João Pedro or Nicholas Jackson. I don't know. I'll make a decision.
Yep.
So I'm going to still have money in the bank even after bringing in Solanke. So even if I brought in Solanke, for example, I've still got 1.1 mil in the bank. I don't know what to do with that, so I'll probably just sit on that and see who else pops up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that 1.1 in the bank is good. That if you want to go Saka back to Salah, it gives you're halfway there already.
Correct. Or if I want to go Saka to Palmer, I've got money there. So yeah, I've always got options there.
Yeah.
Cool. But anyway, that's me. So look, neg 12, I reckon, honestly, in a head-to-head, I reckon unless I captain someone...
disastrous has to happen.
What's that?
Something disastrous has to happen.
Yeah.
I can't lose to you on a -12 and on a wild card. That would just be...
Well, mate, last week on a -8, it was close. But no cigar from
I was still holding on to my... should we call them weights with my Fernandez and the like?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's look at your team.
Wildcard team. So this has changed today. I did have Raya in there, which has now become Flecken. I got a Flecken Sanchez rotation. They rotate really well for about 10 game weeks. I just didn't want to be sitting in there with a Raya who's injured and I'm playing on the bench when I don't have to do that because I'm on a wildcard. I managed to keep Trent and I brought Gabriel in as well. I think the Arsenal cover, especially not having Raya at all. I toyed with having a double Arsenal defense, but I'm kind of thinking I might want to go with, defend midfielder striker for Arsenal in the future. So that kind of also, there's enough little in and R in over Raya to change. So I got, Flecken and Sanchez in the rotation. Trent, Gabriel, and Konsa is my starting back line. I don't think I can let Konsa go. He's a Champions League level defender now. He's scored a goal. He's only 4-5. It's not too much else to say. Like it's fairly easy. And then I've got Greaves and Aina on my bench. One of those, either Greaves might become Leif Davis, and I've gone with Aina. I did like Moreno, but he came off early. He was the one pulled at halftime when they didn't play well. So kind of changed my thinking. I am looking at Milinkovic as well. But Aina's just on the wing. He gets forward a bit more. I don't know if I'll move either of those yet or not. I'm also considering Aina to Vandenberg and then Greaves to Davis just to keep the price the same. But yeah, not set. But this is kind of where I am at the moment. I've gone Salah to Diaz for the money saving. And I've also brought in Saka. Again, my thinking that there is movement in here. So I'll take you to the whole team, and then I'll tell you my movements later. So Diaz, Mbumo, Semenyo, and Saka. I did a very un-Samuel thing at the start of the game week, and as soon as the game week had started, I pressed the wildcard button. I transferred out everyone I didn't want and brought in only people who were going to rise. So, like this week, I've got 0.2 on Diaz already.
Beautiful.
I brought in Semenyo, looked like he's rising. I brought in Saka beforehand. I did bring in a couple of people who I thought might rise. I had ESR at one point. I did have Raya at one point. I had Timber at one point. And then when they weren't in my plans, I got rid of them. I just didn't want to be priced out of them because they rose. So then I got Chris Wood, Nicholas Jackson, and Haaland has come in the forward line. And then Rodgers comes in, Aina and Greaves on the bench. So this was more flexibility-wise for me. So with this team, I still have got... Do I have anything in the bank? Let me... Transfers. I thought I had... It's a 0.3, so not a lot of room to move. But I can always do one of my goalkeepers down to a 4.0, which gets me 0.5. I can do a Trent to a Robbo. If Trent's not going to come up with attacking returns, every other game, he's not. I don't think he's worth the points, the 1 million more. Saka rising, Salah falling. So if I can get another couple of point mils out of Diaz, and then I can turn. There is a strategy in here that has Trent dropping to a 6 or a 5 mil, dropping one of the Sanchez or Flecken after their good games to a 4, dropping I think it was a Nicholas Jackson down to a Stewart at Southampton, then makes Diaz back to Salah, and then got Salah and Saka in the middle.
That's powerful.
With Haaland as well. Midfield. And then I can also move Saka back to Salah if the midfield in Arsenal becomes a bit wary. I've also thought I can move if I decide to in a few weeks, I can move Trent and someone else down. I can do Saka to Salah, and then I can do Jackson to Havertz to still keep some Arsenal movement. At the moment, the plan is Semenyo for 2 weeks, swap him for Emile Smith-Rowe after the next 2 game weeks, and Nicholas Jackson holds for 3, and then he becomes Solanke.
So your Nicholas Jackson and Luis Diaz are a lock for you?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, I like those players.
Diaz is probably... He's the one who would move, I think, but if he keeps going as he's going, I don't think I'll move him. It's just if he is a purple patch player and he kind of comes out of that patch, then I'm going to have to decide where I go because I don't have any other Liverpool attacking cover. And I wouldn't be able to get there because of Darwin and Gakpo being forwards. It would have to be Salah, so I'd have to make some choices there. Jackson, if Diaz can wait a few weeks before going off the boil, then I can move Jackson out because he's got a few good fixtures before moving into a patch of some... I think they've got Arsenal, City, Newcastle in a 4-week period. So then he'll come out at that point. My plan was to move Solanke in then because his fixtures are a bit better. But, he could become a Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well quite easily. João Pedro if he's fit again. So this structure's giving me a little bit of room to move. Might change a bit, but I think I'm pretty settled now. I've got some good captaincy picks I think I'm just going to Haaland every week to try and catch up on those Haaland captain points. But it's a little bit of arse covering because I got a few of the popular ones that have been hurting me, and there's a little bit, the Jackson and Wood are probably a bit more trying to gain some points, but don't know. We'll see if this combination of players is better than my last combination. And I think I'm
Honestly,
only coming out with
I
about
like
three
this
who I went
team.
in with. So
I like this team a lot, and I'm actually a bit nervous about this team because I'm thinking, shit, I like this team. I would like this team, and mine is quite far away from that with injuries and having to do like negs and stuff like that. But no, this is solid, dude. I like Luis Diaz as a pick. Yeah, here's the thing. A bit of me is thinking he surely can't keep this up, but he can.
and that's it. If he can't and he goes a couple of game weeks without, and then we start looking at game week 9 or 10 when Liverpool play Arsenal, he can come out. And I'm quite happy to keep Semenyo and turn him into Emil Smith Rowe or and another player about that. Like I was talking about Dibbling before. I could put Dibbling in there, and I can turn Wood into Watkins. So it gives me movement, and it means that I'm on a few bandwagons without having to stay on the bandwagons if the wheels fall off.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Okay. Well, mate. Looking forward to how this week plays out. From the looks of it, with João Pedro confirmed injured, I think I'm going to have to neg 12. I'm not losing 0.1 mil. I'm just not doing it. I can't. Nope. That's a nope for me. I'll happily pay the 4 points for 0.1 mil, even though I don't know what to do with the money right now. But essentially, it's like every time I play the price change game, we always end up around game week 7 to 10 is this weird period where you've got enough, but you're probably the money's sitting in the bank because you don't know what to do with it. Yeah. And around game week, probably halfway through the season, is when if I've played the price change game right, I can afford the likes of Haaland, Salah, and Saka in the midfield while keeping a Watkins up front.
Yeah.
Right. And as long as they are all firing, amazing. But that's a big if. So yeah, it's a risky play. It's not paying off so far. But let's see.
It gives you license, like when you say, like when you get towards Christmas, it means that you can jump a Mbumo to a Foden, and then have Foden, Haaland, Salah. So I see the point. I see the strategy behind it. It's just it's kind of that. It's the birds in the hand against birds in the bush thing, isn't it? You're planning on potential better players to get points later in the season than getting the points now. But early in the season, it's hard to tell who the points getters are. And it's a bit of a risk either way. So you could play your game and, someone else can luck into the right team and then be 50 points up because they haven't made those transfers. But I think while you're still sitting at the middle spot, it's not a strategy to throw out the window. I think it's still obviously working for you. So, yeah.
No, and I don't think... And here's the thing, I don't think I would change the strategy because it almost feels like changing partway through. Like I would keep the strategy going up until I reach a certain cash in the bank, then I would stop it. That's what I seem to generally do is like probably Christmas time is when I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop taking hits, right? But up until that point, I'll take 1 or 2 hits a week. And luckily this season I got off to not a good start, I'll say an okay start, which I'm almost seeing rank right now as like life bar. I can come back down if it's an investment for me to go back up later. And that's probably like a really terrible way to play FPL, but yeah, that's how I look at it.
I mean, at this point in the season, small green arrows still, you get back up to the top. You're not having to make massive green arrows to make any progress. And I looked at, we've played 2 different strategies. We played a price game, and like we said really, really early on, you play the price game, you're bringing in players who are doing well. So you're going to have good players. You play the game that I play, which is a bit more, eyesight and who looks like they're playing well, who's got good stats, and stats don't equal points. So, and if they're not getting points, they're not going up, they're going down. So then you kind of on the negative end of that. So I've had to kind of look at the team and go, how long do I wait for? Because I considered waiting longer to wildcard, but then just saw Fernandez dropped again, and I had a couple other players looking at dropping. Eze is not set, and I was like, I can't wait any longer, otherwise I'm going to have a whole team of 5.5s because that's all I can afford. So my strategy hasn't changed. I still have picked people who look good. Like picked Rodgers because he looks good on the pitch, not just because he's getting those points. Semenyo has looked good in the Bournemouth team. So yeah, it's modeled a little bit the strategy that I've started with, but I felt I had to change it and I had to wildcard at that point. What week 3 or wherever you did was too early for me. I still had players who could have returned.
Honestly, retrospectively, too early for me too. That wild card wasn't a good wild card play, but yeah. Anyway, it's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, like put it this way: if I had made it another 0.2 or 0.3 in that game week, would have been a different story. But it didn't work out the way I thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, like I've still got my triple captain. I've still got the bench boost and this mystery chip. So, we'll I like the points difference. Well, let's have a look. Let's bring up the league. The points difference can be, what did you get for your triple captain? Like 30 odd points. So, there you go. So if we say like you're sitting there on 347, so that's the top 10. So you got Lockie sitting there in first, you are in second, Brett in third, Jason in fourth, and Jacob in fifth. So you're on 347 points there in second. And if we go down all the way down here, 294. So that's what? 50 points here or there? So the 50-point difference is
He's a triple captain because Haaland got me 51 points.
Yeah. So, if we talk about like that bird in hand, bird in bush stuff, that's still there, but it has to be played right because if you play it for 3 points,
yeah, that's the thing, right? But here's the thing: if I keep taking hits, I want to hit my way down to the same points.
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, on that note, let's see how this game week plays out. And for everyone tuning in, please make sure to, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and a subscribe. And we'll see you next week.
That's it. See you next week. Thanks, guys.